troops stationed in Germany will have to find food through food banks because they're so poor from the government shutdown, they cannot afford to buy food. The U.S. government has sent out a memo to 36,000 troops stationed in Germany of a list of local food banks, as the government says they're unable to pay the military bases enough money to buy food for the soldiers. And because the soldiers obviously aren't getting paid, they don't have any money to go buy it from any local stores. All while all the congressmen who voted to shut down the government are getting a full paycheck. The memo, which was originally public information, has been scrubbed off all government websites to try to hide this. Troops are now instead being given papers of a list of food banks that they're allowed to go get food from. Water on the bases are expected to run out also very soon, and the U.S. Department of Defense allocates $1 trillion to the military every year. But apparently that's not enough to feed their own troops. They're going to have to get some in food. Follow for more updates.
All right, Shalom. First of all, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, the honest apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutation to all the brothers and the few sisters out there, onto this life foreigners. For the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Shalom in the Hebrew, which means peace. As I was sitting here watching this particular video, this little short, and the first thing that came into my mind, I Googled it, but I Googled this and not in an incorrect term. In other words, I was comparing this to the Roman Empire, but obviously the Roman Empire did take care of their soldiers. However, there's a common pattern when you go into history, how the Romans, especially those that were on top, treated those that were below them. And real quick, let me get this. I gotta get this out the way first. Not out the way, but Ecclesiastes 1:9. It says, "The thing that have been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun." So the thing that have been is man. The thing that shall be done, man coming back, because there's a such thing called reincarnation, meaning back carnation to the flesh. So every man comes back to his own life. Every group of people come back to their own position. All right. If you was a man of the Lord back then, you'll be a man of the Lord today. If you was the enemy of the Lord, you're gonna be the enemy of the Lord today. And it's not by accident that United States of America, damn near everywhere Esau dwells, that there's a certain pattern of architecture form, also ideas. And that's why we're gonna really get into that. It's really the idea. So the idea is the rich consistently get richer, while the people under those rich individuals suffer. All right. When was it? What was last week Friday? You had Halloween, and Donald J. Trump. They said that he had a great Gatsby. I read the book. Did I read the book? I can't remember. I think I did read it back in high school. But he had a great Gatsby party, and they showed the pictures of the people that was at the party, and all you could really look at is people that are at the party, but simultaneously, within 24 hours after during this uncertain time, while they partying, 24 hours later, poor people wasn't getting paid, or they wasn't getting money to get food. And this man was having a blast. Now you fast forward another week. Today's Saturday, right? Well, I'm gonna put this up in the morning. So Friday evening, the judge ordered that the Trump administration to pay out the SNAP, and they had to pay out that day, Friday. Then you go to The court, I mean, what's it called? The circuit court. The circuit court agreed with the federal judge. Then they went to the Supreme Court just to stall this potential people getting paid. I bring this up because there's also that pattern. Also, he went to the same. No, that was done in the White House, but the Doc Nero decides to go down to Florida to his private facility and have a party. So all I could think is like, what is the pattern here? The rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer, and they flaunting it. So how it is you're rich, the mightiest army in the planet Earth, and you can't even take care of your own soldiers. All right. Now go to Google. It says Roman Empire not paying the soldiers. It says the Roman Empire did not always pay soldiers regularly, particularly due to financial mismanagement and debasement of the currency in later periods. Does this sound familiar? There's nothing new under the sun. Oh, that's what I was supposed to read. But there's nothing new under the sun. The same spirit's doing the same goddamn thing. What's also a common pattern with Rome and the current Rome, United States of America / EU, NATO. Mainly United States of America, which is Babylon the Great, got garrisons, military bases throughout all four corners of the earth. I believe it's 800. Either 700 or 800 bases around the world. Armies are spread thin. All right. Now I'm gonna read some of this. I'm not gonna read this whole part right here. I'm gonna read some of this. During the period of stability, regular pay soldiers were paid 3 or 4 times a year, depending on the emperor's reign. Paymaster system. In some periods, like during Julius Caesar time, paymasters would give sums for the treasury to the soldiers' families. Sounds familiar? Right? Well, what's the familiar part is welfare, a welfare system. Okay? Deduction pay could be reduced through various deduction for equipment and other services, right? Looting and land. Soldiers were generally expected to gain wealth from looting and had the ability of receiving land grants upon retirement. Now, I want to make this short. I don't want to make this too long. According to the law, during the time of Moses, and David, when Israel went to war, they split the spoils, even those that wasn't fully participating in that. And not only did they split the spoils amongst the soldiers, the warriors, they also split the spoils amongst the people. All right. So back then they practiced that during the Roman Empire, but modern Rome, modern Eastern structural period, the soldiers don't get nothing. It's only the commanders, the higher ups. They get a share of some things. This is why this is supposed to be the richest country in the planet Earth, as stealing people's resources, and yet they can't even feed their own people. Can you imagine that? You can't even feed your own people after you raping and robbing everybody. So right then and there shows you the corruption even back then. Now I'm gonna go to during the periods of crisis, e.g., crisis of the 3rd century, financial collapse. The empire experienced fascial impropriates and breaking down of the trade networks, leading to currency debasement. Ain't that happening now with the whole tariffs? All right, and obviously the thing that is called inflation, same pattern, unreliable pay due to declining value of currency. Soldiers' pay became increasingly unreliable. Government shutdown, right? Federal workers they're not working. It says, and could effortlessly be worth nothing after reduction. And believe it or not, soldiers, people in the military don't get paid good. All right. Now here's a kicker. It's a reliance on mercenaries. The army became more reliant on barbarian mercenaries who were compensated through settlement deals including land protection rather than consistent cash payments. And what's going to happen, especially in the shores of America, you have ICE, you have the National Guard, and after that, they're going to bring in the military. How long do you think the military, the men and women that are born in the United States of America, are going to be able to police their people without some conscious decision? Now, mercenaries, throughout history, everybody hired mercenaries. They're the hired gun. All right, that's all mercenaries. You pay them, they fight for you, people die for you, they get compensated, their family get compensated, everything like that. Anybody can have mercenaries. However, here in the United States of America, since they're trying to bring in a new world order, it's not a surprising thing which is happening right now, that each joint military swap military to occupy the personnel in their own country. And that's what the last step for over here. Because through the spirit, we always said that they would bring in Gurkha troops. All right. Gurkha troops is nothing but saying mercenaries. The UN, all right. The UN plans is to have what they call is it peacekeepers? And peacekeepers, all they do is utterly destroy, rape, rob the women. Okay? So they're nothing but hired guns. It says, and the last one, unrest. The unreliable pay contributed to widespread unrest. Sounds familiar? Even mutinies against emperors, such as assassination of Emperor Severus Alexander. So the last step of this whole debacle, just like in that film, what was I talking about? Civil War. And then when he finally cornered that president and he asked the question, why? Why did you do what you did? And I don't remember, did he give an answer or if he didn't? But all of a sudden, they took him out. So all this chaos, bring this up, all this chaos is going on. It's going to lead to civil unrest. History is repeating itself because the same spirits that were back then are here. What I had? Let me get this one out the way first. Sirach 26 and 28. There be two things that grieve my heart. A third maketh me mad, maketh me angry, sorry. A man of war that suffer poverty. There's no way in hell you in another land occupying for your country's benefit that they can't even feed you in the military base. There's no way in hell. This has gone too far. Even here in the United States of America, the people that are veterans, they don't even want to give the veterans any government assistance. All right? They don't want to give them anything. Show you the disheartening behavior of these people because they don't give two shits about the people. Matter of fact, I didn't bring it out last time. Let me get this real quick. Proverbs 28, 22, 22, it says, rob not the poor because he is poor, neither oppress the afflicted in the gate. And that's what Esau is doing. He's robbing the poor. All right? He's robbing the poor and giving to the rich. That's all they're doing. This government shutdown is a clear-cut sign they don't give two shit about the American people. All right? Here it is, you're invested, your job is to protect the interests of America in other lands, and yet you're not getting paid. Amazing. All right. Do you wonder why we call this man the devil? Real quick, in Revelation 13 and 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads, 10 horns. 7 heads represent Greece, Rome, Germania Minor, Major, Spain, France, and Britain, all headed by Esau, which was the Roman Empire. The 10 horns represent the 10 common states that was later known as NATO EU. All right. It says, and upon his heads, it was upon his horns 10 crowns, upon the heads of the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, which is representation of Alexander the Greek. All right. His symbol was a leopard. And his feet were like as the feet of a bear, which represent what? Russia. All right. Russia is the end. So the beginning of Esau's society and the end of Esau's society. Well, I guess I'm going over. This is and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, which represents the British Empire or Great Britain. And the dragon gave his power and his seat and his great authority, which goes back to Rome. All right, we got to understand these people are infatuated with history. They're infatuated with the Roman Empire, which this is the point I wanted to bring out. And I saw one of his heads as it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. All the world wondered after the beast. So the Roman Empire was split into two. You had the Eastern and the Western. The Western fell. All right, the Eastern prevailed. They became the Holy Roman Empire, while the West completely fell into what they call darkness or something like that. I'm going by what they say in history. But it was healed. What made it healed was a period of time that was called the Renaissance. During this period of time of the Renaissance period, it was the revival of that power. All right. Then when you fast forward it, I'm not gonna read this whole chapter, but when you fast forward that, when they created NATO EU, it was called the Treaty of Rome. All right. When they said they felt like Romans that day. And everybody saw it like this is the same concept because they following the same concept. This new world order is nothing new. All it is the revivement of the Roman Empire. It so happens that they follow the trend, the same trendy things that was going on in Rome, and that which I explained. And that was how they mistreated their own soldiers financially. And during the process of time where the money was pretty much dead, right? And I did the show, but the guy was breaking it down. It said They even got to the point where they couldn't really pay the soldiers any longer with any money because it wasn't worth nothing. And look what's happening. Look exactly what's happening. And you think that the people that's in power actually care about the very soldiers? I believe it was it Kissinger? Let me see if I can find it. Like I said, I'm not gonna make this too long. No, I believe it was Kissinger. Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger's quotes. You know what? Quotes on. I believe it's Henry Kissinger. I could be wrong. Slovakia on military. Damn, I gotta be the most tiniest thing. No, not that one. I could be wrong. Nope. All right. The quote goes by of the sense of military personnel, like they just or like they useless. I just can't remember how it goes. I thought it was Henry Kissinger, but I could be wrong on military service. No, that's too nice. Too much ambition. All right, if it's not Henry Kissinger, forgive me. I haven't heard that quote in a long time. But like I stated, it said something to the extent of the military men or people are just what words up. They nothing but jarheads. All right. Quote. Maybe it wasn't him. Salakia. I'm excited, but I gotta get it now. But I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't remember how the quote goes. Anybody, it's Lord willing, anybody remember that quote? Put it in the comment board. You'd be so kindly. So they don't see the military personnel as anything, nothing but barbaric beasts that they can control. All right, that's how they see it. That's how they see everybody. Your life is expendable because all you protected is not the United States of America or any uh, um, country. You're a private military that works for private banks, and this is how they treat their people. They treat their people worth like you're less than nothing. Because there should be no way in hell that the poor and the military are suffering the way they are. But that's Esau for you. So with that being said, like I said, I didn't want to make this too long. Shalom to the elected nations. Shalom.